I killed my sister's future with a single anonymous tip to the IRS, watching from the shadows as her empire crumbled like a house of cards in a Chicago windstorm. But that was nothing compared to the morning I woke up trapped in her body, staring at my own face mocking me from the other side of the vanity mirror, lips curled in that smug smile she'd stolen along with my life. And the real gut punch? She'd framed me for embezzling $33 million from our family's wedding fund. A crime I'd take the fall for because no one believed a broke nobody like Paisley could ever touch that kind of money. It started 6 months before the swap. Back when the Gold family still pretended we were the picture of Midwestern royalty. Our dad, Harlan Gold, built gold tech from a garage in Naperville into a logistics behemoth that shipped everything from iPhones to insulin across the heartland. He was the king of quiet ambition, never flashy. But his wallet screamed old money. Mom died when I was 10, leaving him to raise 2 daughters, me, Paisley, the dreamer who dropped out of community college to chase indie films in Wicker Park, and my sister, Victoria, the golden child who clawed her way to Harvard Law and back to run the family empire like it was her birthright. Victoria was 5 years older, 5 inches taller, and a lifetime ahead in the looks department: porcelain skin, raven hair that felt like a CEO's power move, and eyes that could freeze a boardroom or melt a donor. I was the afterthought, the one who crashed on her couch after bad auditions, scraping by on barista gigs and the occasional gift from Dad's guilt fund. But we loved each other, or so I thought. Sisters against the world, right? That's the lie we sold at every family barbecue. The betrayal hit like a freight train during Dad's 60th birthday bash in the Gold Tech atrium, crystal chandeliers dripping from the ceiling like frozen tears. Waiters in tuxes, slinging caviar on rye. Victoria had just announced her engagement to Trent Hargrove, some venture capitalist from the Gold Coast with a jawline sharper than his divorce settlements. The wedding was set for summer at the Drake Hotel, a $33 million affair bankrolled by Dad's retirement slush fund, or so he called it, winking like it was all in good fun. In reality, it was laundered profits from shady offshore deals Victoria had cooked up to keep the company afloat after a whistleblower nearly tanked us. I was there, nursing a flat Prosecco in the corner, feeling like the family mascot. Paisley, honey, Dad slurred, clapping my shoulder hard enough to spill my drink. When are you going to get your shit together? Vic here's building empires. And you're... What? Still chasing those pipe dreams. Laughter rippled through the suits. Victoria shot me a pity smile from across the room, her diamond solitaire catching the light like a middle finger. That night, she found me chain-smoking on the loading dock. "They're assholes," she said, sliding down beside me, her silk gown pooling like spilled ink. "Dad's just drunk. You know he loves you. Yeah? Then why does it feel like I'm the family joke?" I flicked ash into the night, the city skyline mocking me with its glow. She hesitated, then pulled a flash drive from her clutch. "Because you're better than this. Look." I pulled some strings. "There's a job opening in creative, handling our ad campaigns. Entry level, but it's a foot in the door. And..." She paused, eyes gleaming. "Dad's setting aside a piece of that wedding pot for you. A nest egg. 33 mil split 3 ways, me, you, and the company. But you gotta sign this NDA. Keeps it quiet till after the vows." I stared at her, heart slamming. 33 million? For me? The broke sister who'd once pawned her prom dress for rent? It was a lifeline. A way out of the espresso steam and rejection emails. I signed without reading, because blood's thicker than fine print. That was my first mistake, the one that buried me alive. Weeks blurred into wedding frenzy. Victoria's life was a Pinterest fever dream, tastings at Alinea, fittings at Neiman Marcus, Trent's frat boy groomsmen turning the gold tech penthouse into a brothel. I played wingwoman, fetching dry cleaning and dodging dad's sighs. But cracks showed. Late nights, I'd catch Victoria in her office, shredding docs that smelled like desperation. Just tying up loose ends, she'd say, voice tight as piano wire. Then came the accident, or what I thought was one. Dad's annual fishing trip to Lake Michigan. Just the three of us on his yacht. The Golden Retriever. Choppy waters. Cheap bourbon. And old wounds reopening. Paisley's the liability, Dad muttered, reeling in a bass that flopped like my dreams. Always has been. If it weren't for Vic, we'd be bankrupt by now. I stormed below deck, slamming the cabin door. Victoria followed, faces inches apart in the dim sway. He's wrong, she hissed. You're not a liability. You're my secret weapon. What the hell does that mean? I demanded, the boat rocking us like a cradle from hell. She laughed, bitter and broken. Everything you think you know? It's bullshit. That $33 bill? It's not a wedding fund. It's my escape hatch. Gold tech is bleeding. Trent's investors pulled out after I borrowed from the books to cover it. Dad thinks it's legit. But if the feds sniff around, we're done. I framed the books to look like you did it. Your signature on that NDA? It's your confession. My world tilted worse than the waves. You bitch. You set me up? Not like that. Her eyes welled. But they were crocodile tears. I was protecting us.
Dad would disown me.
You get a slap on the wrist, probation? Maybe. But I need this wedding to seal Trent's loyalty. After. I'll fix it.
Pull you out.
I lunged, but she sidestepped, grabbing a weird gadget from her purse, a sleek black box, humming like a hornet's nest. Experimental, she whispered. Black market neural swapper from some Silicon Valley ghost lab. Swaps consciousness for hours. Therapy for trauma victims, they say.
But I
tested it on myself. To feel what it's like to be you.
Free.
Unburdened. The fight escalated, shoves. Screams echoing over the lake. She activated the device in the scuffle. A blue flash blinding us both. Pain like lightning through my skull. Then blackness. I woke gasping in my own cabin. Head pounding. But something was off. My hands, longer fingers, manicured nails. I stumbled to the mirror and screamed. Victoria's face stared back. Pale and perfect. But my eyes, wild, brown. Mine flickering in confusion. Across the hall, my old body stirred. Victoria's soul piloting it like a stolen car. Paisley, she croaked in my voice, but with her inflection. Oh God. It worked too well. The swap. It's permanent unless we reverse it within 72 hours. And the device is fried. Panic clawed my throat. Reverse it? You framed me for millions.
Vic.
The feds are already circling. Dad mentioned audits this morning. She in my body sat up, smirking with my freckled lips. Exactly. Now you're me. Innocent Victoria Gold. CEO darling. Walk away clean. I'll take the heat as Paisley the fuck up. It's poetic. Sis. You get the life you always wanted. I grabbed her, my own throat under my new fingers, squeezing just enough to feel the pulse. You think I'll play along? I'll burn it all. But Dad pounded on the door. Oblivious. Girls? What's the racket? We separated. Hearts hammering. The swap held. A glitchy prison. Victoria, in my skin, played the part flawlessly, meek, apologetic, while I, trapped as her, nodded along.
Voice silky with her timbre. By dawn.
We docked. The device lost overboard in the accident. 72 hours?
A lie.
It was forever. Or until one of us died. Back in Chicago, the charade began. I slipped into Victoria's stilettos. Her corner office overlooking the loop. Her king-sized bed with Trent's cologne staining the sheets. He was all teeth and ambition. Fucking me that first night like I was still his fiancé, clueless. Thrusting into the sister he'd never suspect. I faked moans, plotting murder in the dark. Her body's curves feeling like a stranger's costume. Victoria, meanwhile, reveled in my anonymity. She crashed in my shoebox apartment in Logan Square, auditioning for bit parts, charming barflies with my awkward charm. It's liberating, she texted from my phone, now hers. No expectations. Thanks. Pious. The betrayal festered. Dad's audits ramped up. Whispers of embezzlement pointed to Paisley, the slacker who'd signed shady docs. Victoria fed the fire, confessing to a therapist about her sister's desperation, planting seeds for my downfall. I played Victoria to perfection. Board meetings where I greenlit deals that gutted competitors. Charity galas where I schmoozed senators, all while siphoning intel on her web of lies. The secret she buried? The $33 million wasn't just a slush fund. It was blood money from a human trafficking ring Gold Tech unwittingly fronted, migrant workers smuggled in shipping containers, paying with their lives for her expansions. She'd outsourced the dirty work to Trent's cartel contacts, framing me as the fall guy because I was expendable. I'd borne it unknowingly, signing that NDA that locked in my guilt. My decisions turned controversial fast. First, I leaked a tip to the Sun-Times about Gold Tech's irregularities, anonymous enough to spark probes but not torch the whole firm. Dad called me into his office, eyes weary under the fluorescent buzz. Vic. What's this noise? Paisley's name's dragging through the mud. Family sticks together. I leaned back in her leather chair, crossing her legs like a queen. Dad. Paisley's always been a loose cannon. Maybe it's time we cut ties. His face crumpled, the man who'd built walls around his heart since Mom's cancer. Cut ties? She's blood.
Blood.
The word ignited something primal. That night, I hacked her, my old emails, finding the swapper's origin, a rogue neurotech firm in Evanston, shuttered after FDA raids. No reversal possible. Rage boiled. I decided to make her pay, not with fists, but with the American dream's sharpest blade, exposure. Trent noticed the shift first. You're different, babe, he murmured over oysters at RPM steak, his hand sliding up my thigh under the white tablecloth. Fiercer. I like it. I smiled Victoria's smile. But inside, Paisley plotted. He was the key. His investors funded the trafficking cutouts. I seduced him deeper, recording pillow talk on her phone, confessions spilling like cheap whiskey. Victoria pushed back, escalating. She went public at a rooftop mixer in River North, mic in hand, tears streaming down my cheeks. My sister's in trouble, she sobbed to the press vultures. Paisley Gold. Broke and desperate. Stole from our family to fund her delusions. Dad kept quiet about the $33 million wedding pot, hoping she'd come clean. But she called me broke once. Publicly, like I hadn't bailed her out 100 times. It's heartbreaking. The clip went viral, Paisley scam trending from Milwaukee to Miami. My old face, twisted in feigned pain,
crucified me.
Friends from film school ghosted. Landlords in Wicker Park changed locks preemptively. I watched from Victoria's Instagram. Likes pouring in like salt on wounds. Enough. The tension coiled like a spring in Grant Park. Fog rolling off Lake Michigan as I met her, me, under the bean at midnight. Tourists milled, oblivious, while we faced off. 2 bodies in stolen skins. You think this is revenge, she hissed, my voice low and venomous. I gave you power.
Pious.
The penthouse. The power suits. Admit it, you love being me. I love watching you squirm, I replied in her alto, stepping close enough to smell my own cheap lavender lotion on her. That trafficking ledger? Trent's emails? I have them. 1 click. And you're not just broke, you're in Supermax. Her eyes, my eyes, widened, then narrowed to slits. You wouldn't. Dad would disown Victoria. The empire crumbles. Let it. Wind whipped my hair, her hair, as sirens wailed distant. You buried me alive for your white dress and gold ring. Now I bury you. She lunged, nails raking my arm, a scratch that drew pinpricks of blood. We grappled, rolling into the sculpture's shadow, the mirrored surface warping our duel like a funhouse nightmare. Punches landed soft, fists knowing each other's weak spots from childhood catfights, but the real blows were words. You're the monster, she gasped, pinning me with my own wiry strength. I did it for us. Dad's cancer, stage 4.
Pious.
Docs gave him months. The trafficking cash was for experimental treatments, black market. I framed you because you're the fighter. You'd take the heat, come out swinging. I was weak.
Lies.
Or was it? My mind reeled. The swap's glitch sparking memories, hers, of chemo consultations. Trent's sneer at wasted millions. Had she hoarded the fund, not for escape, but salvation?
No.
The ledgers showed payoffs to coyotes, not clinics. Prove it, I snarled, flipping her, knee in her gut, my gut. She laughed, wheezing. Check the safe. Penthouse. Code's our birthday. You'll see. Cops swarmed then. Her public plea had baited them. Or mine. We scrambled apart as blue lights flashed. Her in cuffs. Me melting into the crowd as Victoria, the untouchable. Back in the penthouse. Heart thunderous. I cracked the safe. Not drugs or deeds, but files. Invoices for immunotherapy trials in Zurich. $28 million routed through shells. The rest? Bribes to silence witnesses. She'd lied, half-truths to muddy the waters. But Dad's diagnosis?
Real.
A post-it clung to a scan. For Paisley, keep fighting. Love.
Dad.
Dawn broke over the skyline as I uploaded the files to WikiLeaks. Anonymized. The trafficking exposed. The wedding funds rot laid bare. Victoria rotted in county, pleading innocence in my voice. Trent bolted to Dubai, leaving voicemails begging Vic for mercy.
But the twist?
As interrogators grilled her, DNA swabs confirmed the swap, neural echoes in brain scans. A freak forensic match. The feds didn't believe it at first. Sci-fi in a courtroom? But evidence piled. Her mannerisms in my body. My fire in hers.
Dad.
From his hospice bed. Pieced it, visiting Paisley in jail. Seeing Victoria's soul in the tears. Pious, he whispered through the glass. Frail hand on the phone. That ain't my girl. I visited as myself now. Post-swap reversal via a desperate raid on the lab's remnants. A Black Ops surgeon piecing souls back. Cost me everything. Victoria's body wrecked from stress. Gold tech seized by feds. But free. She confessed everything. Betrayal born of love twisted by fear. The frame-up to shield Dad's legacy. The swap as a desperate bid to let me inherit clean. Or so she claimed. The trial dragged. Headlines screaming sister swap scandal. Who wore the crime? Jurors debated. Victim or villain?
2.
In the end, she got 20 years. Trafficking trumps embezzlement. I got Dad's last breath. Whispering forgiveness in the hospital hush. The loop humming outside like a dirge. He left me the scraps, a trust fund sliver. Enough for film school redux. Happy? Tragic? As I stand on that same loading dock. Script in hand about a girl who stole her sister's skin to save her soul. I wonder. Revenge tasted like ash. But truth? It gleamed like Chicago gold. And the debate rages in my mirror. Whose eyes stare back now? The appeals dragged like a bad sequel. Victoria clawing from her cell with writs and witnesses. Each one a dagger twist in the wound we'd both carved. I rebuilt in the ruins, renting a walk-up in Pilsen. Murals splashing color on my gray days. Auditioning for roles that echoed too close. The betrayed twin. The vengeful ghost. Casting directors eyed me like a freak show. Paisley Gold? The swap sister? Honey. That's typecasting gold. But the spotlight burned. Every nod reminded me of her spotlight. Stolen and scorched. Dad's funeral was a circus. Press helicopters chopping the air over Rose Hill Cemetery. Black umbrellas blooming like funeral weeds. I stood graveside in a thrift store sheath. The only gold left untainted. Or so the obit spun. Trent slunk in from exile. Greased palms buying a back row seat. His eyes raking me like I was still her. Paisley, he murmured post-service. Breath hot with scotch. We could team up. Write the book. Netflix deal. Your story. My connections. I laughed. Sharp as Lake Street shards. My story? It's nonfiction horror. Trent. And you're the monster under the bed. He backed off. But not before slipping a card. Hargrove Ventures. Reimagining futures. The nerve. Like he could reimagine mine. Victoria's letters started then. Smuggled via her shark lawyer. Pages scrawled in my looping script, but her venom. You think you won? Dad's dead because of you. Your leaks scared off the Zurich docks. I was saving him.
Pious.
The trafficking? A means to an end. Collateral for the greater good. Greater good? I burned them in the sink. Flames dancing like the yacht's blue flash. But doubt crept in. A fog thicker than Michigan squalls. My controversial call came mid-rehearsal for an off-loop play, echoes in the mirror. Ironic as hell. The director, a grizzled vet named Rocco from the Steppenwolf days, pulled me aside after a scene where I monologued about stolen identities. Kid, you're raw. But that edge? It's gonna get you canceled. Tone it down. Or own it. Own it. The words ignited. I own nothing since the swap. Victoria's poise lingered in my spine. A ghost posture that straightened me in crowds. But Paisley fire? That was mine. I went rogue. Pitching a podcast, swapped secrets, true crime from the inside. Sponsors balked. Too hot? Gold. Libel suits waiting. But a indie label bit. And episodes dropped. Episode 1. The NDA that buried me, dissecting the frame-up with redacted docs. Listeners flooded in. From truckers in Iowa to influencers in LA. DMs a mix of Team Paisley cheers and Justice for Vic rants. She retaliated from Supermax. Her appeals gaining traction with a twist I never saw, a witness from the neurotech lab. A whistleblower claiming I initiated the swap, desperate for her life. Bullshit. But planted deep. Therapy notes forged in my hand, detailing Paisley's envy. The media flipped. Was the swap a setup? Gold Sisters' dark game. Protests outside my theater. Pickets screaming body snatcher, while Vic's fans mailed me hate-scented letters. Tension peaked at the parole hearing. 6 months in. Her bid fast-tracked by a judge in Trent's pocket. I testified via Zoom from a coffee shop in Andersonville. Hipsters blurring my backdrop. My face projected large in the sterile courtroom feed. She betrayed me, I said, voice steady as her old alto cracked mine. Framed me for millions. Trafficked lives for a fairy tale wedding. The swap, her sick power play. Her lawyer, a silver fox with ivy teeth. Cross-examined. MS. Gold, or should I say, the body you're borrowing? Didn't your father confide the cancer diagnosis only to Victoria? And the $33 million? Records show transfers to your accounts. Pre-swap. Desperation makes monsters. Doesn't it? The screen froze on her face, my face in the jail feed, eyes locked on mine across the digital divide. A glitch? Or her soul's echo? Pleading? I faltered. The controversial decision slamming home. Lie. And seal her cage. Truth. And crack my own. Dad told us both. I lied. Swallowing Paisley's grit. And those transfers? Bait she planted. She's the monster. Parole denied. Victory tasted flat, like decaf in a diner booth. But that night, a package arrived, no return address. Bubble wrap yielding a USB drive and a note in Trent scrawl, the full picture. For old times. Don't say I never gave back. I plugged it in, heart jackhammering, files unfolding like a house of horrors. Not just ledgers, videos. Yacht cam footage. Time-stamped pre-swap. Me, drunk and raging, shoving Victoria toward the device. Take my life if you want it so bad, my voice slurred, her activating it in self-defense. Then, deeper, emails from me to the lab, months prior, inquiring about permanent transfers for artistic research. My film dreams twisted into delusion, scripts about identity theft, blurring fact and fiction. Gaslight or gospel. Memories flickered, hers, of late-night Google dives. Envy-fueled what-ifs. Had I reached out, subconsciously sabotaging? The twist reversed. Was I the architect? Her the victim playing along to expose me? Dawn found me pacing the fire escape. City pulse below like a migraine. Call the cops? Burn it? The debatable heart of revenge. Does truth free? Or chain? I forwarded copies to her lawyer anonymously. A poison gift. Let the appeals churn. Life fractured onward. The podcast hit top 10. Royalties buying me a studio in Ukrainian village, where I scripted my redemption, a feature about swapped fates, pitching it to Sundance scouts over IPAs at the Empty Bottle. Dates flickered, tattooed sound techs who saw Paisley the survivor, not the scandal. But sex felt borrowed. bodies echoing her curves. His grip. Victoria's next move was surgical. A civil suit from inside, suing for neural restitution, claiming the swap caused identity dysphoria, demanding half the podcast profits. Headlines howled, sister versus sister. Who's wearing whose soul? I countersued, dredging her trafficking ties. But the judge, a Trump appointee with cartel whispers, leaned her way. Climax brewed in a deposition suite downtown, glass walls framing the Chicago River's oily flow. She shuffled in, chains rattling like bad karma, my old body gaunt, hair hacked short in defiance. No makeup, just freckles and fury. Paisley, she said. No mic yet. Voice mine but laced with her steel. This ends. The drive? Trent's fake. I planted it to test you. Liar. I leaned in, our breaths sinking, sister's rhythm.
You always test.
Frame.
Swap. Sue.
What's next? Possession. Her laugh cracked. The truth? Dad's cancer, I knew first because I caused it. A chemo miscalculation in the books. Exposure from a tainted shipment. Trafficked chemicals.
Pious.
I buried it to protect you from the guilt. The swap? To let you live free while I atoned in your skin.
But you.
You leaked everything. Killed him. Reversal hit like a gut punch. Her eyes, my eyes, held no deceit. Just shattered glass. I'd borne the crime. Yes, but hers was deeper. A mother's sin for a father's fall. Or another layer of her web. The lawyer burst in. Session starting. But I waved him off. One question. Why the wedding? The $33 mill charade. She smiled. Sad as a South Side sunset. To give you something beautiful before the end. Trent was the out, his cartel cleaned the books. But you torched it. I walked out. Suit pending. Souls swapped again in spirit. Drop the case? Fight? The tension strung taut as harp wire. The suit settled out of court, her half the podcast cut for emotional damages, me keeping the names swapped secrets like a scarred trophy. No jail swap back, the lab's tech deemed unreversible pseudoscience by experts paid to dismiss. We were stuck, me and her shell. Her and mine. Echoes haunting every glance. Life post-settlement was a tightrope over the abyss. I cashed the check, funneled it into the film, skin deep. Directed by a up-and-comer from Second City. Starring me as the Avenger with doubts. Shoots in abandoned warehouses off Halstead. Crew whispering about the real-life freak, but the dailies popped. My face, hers, twisted in moral gray. Audiences at test screenings debating in hush lobbies. Team Paisley, some said. Fists clenched. Vic's the real hero, others countered. Citing a tonology. Victoria got transferred to a low SEC in Dwight, Illinois cornfields and contraband. Her appeals exhausted but spirit unbowed. Visits became ritual. Monthly drives down I-55. Flatlands blurring into therapy speak. First one. She waited in the sterile booth. My body bulked from weightlifting. Tattoos snaking up arms I'd never inked. You look good, I said through plexiglass. Voice her silk over speaker crackle. You look like Mom, she replied. My tenor roughened by smokes. Powerful. It's mine. You know. Borrowed it well. We danced that possessions tango. She grilled production details. I spilled set gossip. Avoiding the why. But undercurrents pulled, her hints at unfinished business, my probes into Dad's final days. He forgave me, she said once, eyes mine downcast. Whispered it before the leak hit the fan. Said you were the strong one. Strong? I laughed, bitter as black coffee. The controversial pivot came unbidden. Compassion? That sneaky bitch. Or manipulation. Round 2. Trent resurfaced like a bad rash. Emailing from a Cayman server. Missed you at the wrap party. Heard about the settlement. Smart play. Dinner? Unfinished scores. I ghosted. But he escalated. Mailing props from the yacht, the flash drive's twin. Labeled the real reversal. Curiosity. That American vice. 1. I cracked it in a panic room rented by Paranoia. Files flooded. Not fakes. But fuller truths. Lab comms from her to the neurotech ghost. Commissioning the swapper for family reconciliation therapy. But buried deeper. My own digital fingerprints. Drunk-dialed queries post a bar fight. What if I could be her for a day? Envy's blueprint. And the kicker, Dad's will. Amended pre-death. Everything to Victoria, but a codicil, if swapped, to the soul that fights clean. Paisley knows. He'd known. The yacht fight. The blue flash. Had he seen the aftermath? Piece the puzzle in hospice haze? The twist inverted again. Our betrayal a triangle. Dad the silent puppeteer. Testing airs with fire. I drove to Dwight unannounced. Rain sheeting the windshield like tears unshed. She lit up at intake. Chains lighter now. My body's vigor a taunt. No booth this time, contact visit. A reward for good behavior. Something changed, she said. Hugging awkward. Sense of prison soap clashing with her Chanel ghost on me. Everything. I slid the drive across the scarred table. Dad rigged it.
Us.
The swap. The frame, his cancer play to see who'd break. Her face, my face, drained white.
No.
He couldn't. Read it. We huddled over the screen on a smuggled tablet, guards turning blind eyes for green. Gasp synced his emails to the lab. Prepare for daughter's trial by fire. The $33 mill? Not escape or treatment. Seed money for a clean gold tech pivot. Post-trafficking purge. Entrusted to the betrayed to rebuild. You leaked to force my hand, she whispered. Revelation dawning. I framed a shield.
But he
swapped us to choose. Debate ignited. Furious and freeing. Villain? Victim? Or pawns in patriarchal chess? He bore the real crime, I said. Voice cracking. Letting us rot for his empire. She nodded. Tears tracing my freckles. Then we finish it. Together. Parole granted weeks later, my testimony. The drive as exhibit. Controversial as hell, the swapped sister vouches for the felon. Headlines bade, gold reunion, revenge or redemption. Protesters clogged the gates. But we walked out arm in arm. Bodies mismatched but souls aligned. Perhaps. Rebuild started small, a foundation from the wedding remnants. Gold unchained. Fighting trafficking with tech audits. Transparent as Lake Michigan ice. Trent? Extradited. His ventures seized. Poetic. The venture vulture plucked. The ending? No tidy bow. I direct now. Skin deep premiering at TIFF to standing ovs and walkouts. Victoria produces. Her low profile, a shield. Penning scripts that probe the gray. We live blocks apart in Lincoln Park. Dinners tense with what-ifs. Laughter edging the abyss. Happy? The empire's ash. But phoenix feathers sprout. Tragic? Scars map our skins. Dad's ghost in every mirror. Debatable. Like all good American tales, revenge's bill comes due. But who pays? As I stare at the skyline from our shared balcony, her hand, my hand on mine, I wonder, swapped or saved, we're gold. And that's the hook that won't let go.